Hello, family and friends. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit, and on this channel, I create wellness and self-care content for women, particularly those over the age of 40 and 50, to be able to embrace more ease in their life and to walk in a direction of making the rest of their life to be the best of their life. If that's something that you're interested in, stay tuned for what I will be sharing today, which will be a response video to this amazing woman that I have been following for the last 6 months, almost a year, Angela Mashelle. She is a veteran nurse. She also has a lifestyle channel, and she did a video about self-care tips for women over 40, and I enjoyed it, and it really resonated with me. You know, recently I celebrated a milestone birthday, and sometimes as those years begin to move along quite faster than they did when we were younger, right? You begin to wonder, wow, where did the time go? And in addition to that, you look at yourself in the mirror and you may sometimes feel I'm seeing less of who I was, and I'm now seeing other older individuals in my family. But you know, we're all very blessed to be able to be here and to see another day. So I would like to share with you all 8 self-care tips that Angela Mashelle shared in her video. And I'll also make sure to include her link in the directions below. The directions, descriptions. I'm still getting used to the lingo of being on YouTube, but it's exciting and I'm enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to being able to serve women in this new space as a wellness, grief, and life coach. Okay, so the first self-care tip that really resonated with me was nurture your village. You know, I'm the oldest in my family, the only daughter of my parents, and one of the older grandkids. And so I grew up pretty much feeling as though I was blazing my own trail, and that was part of the nature of being the oldest, setting the tone for everyone else. But I found myself not so much being a loner, but being pretty independent and self-sufficient so that I didn't have to rely on anyone, because I either had younger siblings or younger cousins or friends who were looking to me for direction because, I'm the first one on the scene as the oldest, I guess one would think. And so in nurturing your village, I want to encourage you because it really resonated with me insofar as reaching out and connecting with people. We all have that friend, that aunt, that sibling who we reach out to in order to get nurtured in our own lives. So if these individuals make up your village, reach out to them as well. While you're driving, I like to think of my car as my personal development space, but you can also look at that as your mini office. As you're going from errands to and fro places, use it as an opportunity to go ahead and send a call, voice, of course, send a call to someone you haven't spoken to in a while and bring a smile on their face. It's so important, especially as we've navigated through COVID, to understand how important it is to build relationships and to maintain connections. So definitely nurture your village, especially those individuals who have been nurturing you during different aspects of your life. And then self-care tip number 2, exercise. As women, as we age gracefully, it's so important that we maintain our muscularity as much as possible, that we maintain how our joints and ligaments are able to move. And the aging process is a natural process. If we live long enough, or as we live long enough, you're not going to escape the natural consequences of aging. But as I like to say, we can certainly age gracefully. And if we age gracefully and honestly, then those looking at us will say, you know what, maybe aging isn't so bad. I want to be like that cool chick or that cool dude over there. So exercise. So what I began doing probably a couple of months ago, back in May, I've gone to the gym and I've enjoyed it. I love the classes that I attend. But as the weather started improving, I needed to go outside to be one with nature. And what I found was that as I began walking outside in the local park, just getting that sun, seeing individuals play tennis, being able to just inhale that fresh air, it was spiritually rewarding. It was physically rewarding. It was emotionally emotionally rewarding. Being out in the environment improved my environmental wellness. And by default, you are actually also starting your day with a commitment to yourself. And so, as Angela Mashelle shared, and as I mentioned to you, she's a veteran nurse. In her video, Self Care for Women Over 40, she also emphasized that when we exercise, we release the feel good hormone endorphins, and that as we exercise, we're feeling good, we feel more alive, we feel stronger, and as we age gracefully and our finances allow, we may also find ourselves vacationing more. And so, if you're exercising and taking care of your physical well being, you'll be able to enjoy the quality of your life as you are going on vacations or taking hikes, or as one of the things are on my leap list, because I don't like to say bucket list, the things you want to do when you kick the bucket. So, I prefer to say leap list, that next thing that I'm leaping to. And one of those things is having a tandem skydive. And another one would be flying in a hot air or being lifted in a hot air balloon. So, I want to be the best version of myself physically, and exercise does that. It helps your heart to be stronger, your lungs to be stronger, your joints, bones, and muscles are not as stiff. So, definitely, you are encouraged as women of a certain age to look at that self care tip as it relates to exercise. The third self care tip that Angela Mashelle shared in her video was be kind to yourself. So often we are kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. We are more inclined to give someone else a compliment, but then we look at ourselves and we may say, oh, I don't like the way my hair looks, or their hair is nicer, or, I've been working so hard on having a flat stomach. That is an awful part of me, or my legs are too big, or in my case, my feet is too big. But would you say that to a friend? Would you tear them down to point out the things that aren't as nice as you would like them to be? So I love the fact that Angela Mashelle shared in her video, Self-Care Tips for Women Over 40, that being kind to yourself may be simply, okay, well, maybe my stomach isn't as flat as I would like it to be, but I've got beautiful clavicle, or a nice long neck, or my shoulders are really quite attractive, or as my husband would say in my case, my legs are pretty darn good. And so find those areas. For some of you, it may be your mouth, it may be your eyes, it may even be your hair. But look at those things that you really kind of enjoy looking at for yourself, that others may even have called attention to, and be kind to yourself and acknowledge those areas. And then for those other areas that you feel the need to work on, then do so. Create the best version of yourself. The fourth self care tip that Angela Mashelle shared was be honest and authentic with yourself. This goes back to our self care as it relates to emotional wellness. Being honest and authentic to yourself is being able to acknowledge, I may do this well, but I may struggle in this area. So, in struggling in this area, I'm going to go ahead and honestly seek out help and assistance so that I can continue progressing forward. I mentioned earlier how I'm the oldest in my family of siblings. I have two younger brothers and one of the older grandchildren of my grandparents' grandchildren. And for so many years, I said, I went into social sciences because I'm not really good in math. And I found as I got older that, yes, I'm pretty much okay in math. I know the basics, but I'm honest about the fact that that may not be one of my strengths. So having my husband to handle things that are mathematically inclined, or when I was in college, getting tutoring in those areas, because some of those science courses definitely had, mathematical equations. But also, I want to encourage each and every one of you within these self-care tips that being authentic to yourself is recognizing who you are authentically. Who you are, all of those quirky sides of yourself, the things that make you laugh, the things that make others kind of raise their eyebrow like, did she really do that? Did she really say that? But part of self-care is that within that honesty that you have about yourself and that authenticity, you will begin to embrace the real you. That person who you thought you might have lost years ago is still there, buried inside, waiting to come out again. Oh, excuse me. Number 5, do not get hung up on people not liking you. I don't know if I'm the only one in this audience, but I grew up as a people pleaser. Now, whether or not that is because I was female or the oldest or whatever that may be, but do not get hung up on people liking you. I have a very good friend who I call her my spiritual sister. And I remember when she turned 50 and when she turned 60, and she shared that she don't worry about what people think because these years have given her the privilege to be able to live her life on her own terms and realize that sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. And so you can say things in such a way to be authentic and to be honest, but doesn't have to hurt anyone's feelings. So when we don't get hung up on whether or not people like us, we're able to live our authentic and honest self. We're able to live our life on our own terms. And that is so important because guess what? This life is not a dress rehearsal. On this level of our existence, this is it. And we want to be able to create that best version of ourselves so that we can live that best life as much as possible. Number 6, look at decreasing the amount of time you spend around negative people. Now, some people who know me really well may describe me as a Pollyanna, always seeing things as the glass is half full, rose-colored eyeglasses, of which, these are pretty clear right here. So I think we're pretty good today. But, decreasing the amount of time you spend around negative people really helps you in terms of your emotional wellness and in terms of your well-being. When negative people are around you, that increases toxicity in your life and your world. And so imagine this scenario, for example. You go to work, you may be surrounded by a negative coworker or two, and you ingest that, and that either ruins your day or you take on that negative energy because now that's becoming the space in which you are working and trying to thrive in. But then you take that negativity home with you. And so the people that you love the dearest, and you are committing your life to, they get to experience this side that they didn't contribute to. Or in some cases, some individuals may say that at home, there may be negativity that occurs due to life occurrences that you are experiencing at this time. So come up with techniques and strategies to be able to either remove yourself from a situation, to be able to go into yourself, whether that is in meditation, a long walk, something to be able to help you to decompress and to then bring back that rejuvenating positive energy. Because again, this life is no dress rehearsal. And we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And so if you spend a great deal of your 24 hours being around negative people by choice, like you have no choice. For some people, it may be their best friend and they just never had the heart to tell them. For others, it may be that relationship that they feel is not really going in the direction that they want, but they don't want to be alone. But know this, when we decrease the amount of time that we are around negative people, so when we decrease that amount of time, we are actually increasing the positive energy that's in our life that is rejuvenating and energizing us through this effort of self-care to be able to enjoy this amazing experience that we call life. And I encourage each of you to do so. Number 7, let me ask you this. Are you a people pleaser? Do you say yes to everything and everyone because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings? I definitely have been that a great deal of my life. In some instances, I would say, oh, because I want everybody to like me. In other instances in my life, it might have been, oh, well, this will help me to build my resume. In other circumstances, it might have been, wow, well, if I do this, I'm going to develop a new skill. Different types of rationalizations for doing this particular thing. But take a moment and think about When you say no to something, it opens up your world and your universe to say yes to something else. Because in the grand scheme of our life, you, I, Oprah Winfrey, these other individuals who are celebrities, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And so, what determines our happiness, our success, our ability to live our best life is what we decide to do with that 24 hours, because we all have the same amount of time, 24 hours in one day. So remember, part of self-care for you within these 8 tips is to say no. And so something that I've begun doing for things that may have a really lengthy commitment, because I'm really striving towards living my life a little bit more differently than maybe I have done in the past. In the past, I was so rushed and eager to focus on the destination that I was trying to achieve, whether it was a position, whether it was a job, whether it was a degree, whether it was an award, whether it was something in a nonprofit sector or a project that I was working on. And I didn't focus myself on enjoying the energy along the way, the energy that's within the journey, enjoying the journey along the way to the destination. So I want to emphasize to each of you that when you have the opportunity to say no, and even if you think there's an inkling in you that is inclined to say, oh, I really want to do this, then why don't you use this strategy? You're asked to do something, and you could possibly say, as I've worked on saying on a number of occasions, let me think about that. Give yourself some time, as opposed to impulsively saying yes, yes, yes. And then you go home or you look at your calendar and you say, why did I say yes? I have no time now to spend with my son or with my mom or with my cousins or that trip that we planned. I'm now working on it. So remember, saying no is a complete sentence. You don't have to give any excuses. You don't even have to explain why. Simply no. Or me being a people pleaser, simply saying, I'm unavailable, but please keep me in mind for another opportunity that I might be able to serve you in the future. And then finally, 8 of the self-care tips that Angela Mashelle shared about in her YouTube video, Self-Care Tips for Women Over 40, is carve out me time. So often we pour into other people's cup, whether it's because we're saying yes all the time, whether it's part of nurturing our village. We pour into other people's cup, and as we're pouring into their cups, our cup is getting empty. And so one really huge and important way of manifesting self-care in your life is to be able to carve out me time. And it could be as little as 30 minutes. It could be as much as an hour or a weekend. And so one of the things that I do in carving out me time is in the morning, I pray. I have a 10-minute meditation that I really like, several of them actually, through the app Insight Timer, which is a free app, free plug that I'm sharing with you all there. But I say my prayer. I do about 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. And in terms of exercise, I began walking first thing in the morning. I must say, I did try to do exercise in the afternoon at one point, but it doesn't work for me. Many people it works for, but for me, it doesn't. So carving out me time in the beginning of the day actually energizes me spiritually, emotionally, physically, so that I can be revved up to embrace this full day that is ahead of me. Because every time we open our eyes, every time that we wake up, it's an acknowledgement that we were given 2 gifts that morning, when we open our left eye and our right eye. So I encourage each and every one of you, nurture your village, exercise, be kind to yourself, be honest and authentic with yourself. Do not get hung up on people not liking you. Decrease the amount of time that you spend around negative people. Say no, it's a complete sentence, and carve out me time. Angela Mashelle, thank you so much for that amazing video that you had published a year ago, actually, on self-care tips for women over 40. So I want to thank all of you for joining me today. I want to wish you a blessed day, a blessed week, and I want to encourage each and every one of you to create the best version of yourself and make the rest of your life the best of your life. If you like this video, please subscribe and comment below. And also, in regard to comment, Please share with me below, what is a self-care tip that you have that helps to nurture you, whether it's mind, body, or spirit, in order to be the best that you can be. Thank you, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.